And now not only is there the AG approval, but 2 or 3 years ago, we would see that the judge and the clerk were just rubber stamping the AG's approval. They were just kind of signing off on it initially, but now we're finding that the clerk and the judge are actually reading the documents as well and are coming back with further clarification questions even after the AG has approved. So we can see that process take even up to 8 months. That prolongs the process even more. So on average for a church deal where you have religious space being built as part of the consideration, usually from the initial conversations to an actual construction loan closing table can take about 4 years.
4 years?
And that's just to a construction loan closing table.
Let me see if I can just, for a second, put this into preacher talk, all that you just said. So, community space that can only be used for non-religious purposes, that's built into the project, church can't use that for religious services. I see, which is what churches do. So you're saying this space can be used for like programs and outreach ministries and the like, and the church can own this space, but they can't have church in there. Or
they can, in the negotiations, in the transaction, make it clear. So for instance, let me make it more concrete.
okay,
Let's say that a church has a property that they own. They're going to sell that property to the joint venture development that they're a part of and the developers are part of. Let's say the property is worth...
So the developer and the church entity has a partnership and a joint venture that they've entered into, and the church is now going to sell
the land
to this entity that they themselves are a part of.
And let's say the value of the land was $4 million.
All right.
Right? So the AG is going to want to see that the church is receiving at
What
minimum $4 million for
That's
the
why we have
value of that
limited,
land.
yeah.
However, in the negotiations, the church has decided that demolishing the current structure is what has to be done in order to build a new structure.
Yes.
So they are going to demolish their current structure. They're going to build 10,000 square feet of community facility space, religious use,
Right.
on the ground floor, and then above will be residence.
So she just said that your church is now called community space religious use.
Community facility
That's
religious
your church.
use, right?
All right.
That's going to be the new church space. It will
Right.
be on the ground floor and it will have demising walls. So it will be a condominium that will be separate and apart from the residential component of the building. So there will be no way to get from the church to the building,
Right.
or the building to the
Can't
church,
have a
even though
back room that goes
even though
into
they are all part of the same
Yeah.
superstructure. They will have demising walls and will be a condominium space within that superstructure. Now, the city is going to want to know, and the bank, as well as the tax credit syndicator, that none of the city's subsidies have been used to build that 10,000 square feet of space condominium. So the church is going to need to show in those documents that are created that there's a church development agreement, and let's say the church decides we're going to build $3 million worth of church, right? So in the documents, it will clearly show that of the $4 million that they received, $3 million of that will be used to build their 10,000 square feet of community facility religious use, and that the church received $1 million in cash.
Right.
That's their fair consideration for that space.
And the AG said amen.
And now anything beyond that, anything beyond that, again, would be a negotiation between the developer and their new partner with the church. So there could be fee that the church will now receive or some other sorts of consideration beyond that $4 million that we know is the value of the land.
But that conversation would be with the developer and the church.
When they're negotiating, but we know at minimum they have met the rules that the church is receiving, the legality $1 million worth of consideration.
Yes.
So,
You're not saying amen?
I'm not saying amen. So we're sort of the other side. So, first of all, there are a lot of questions, how much cash, should the church get? What's fair and reasonable? What's the value of that in-kind piece? Is it the construction